Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Conrad, and I am with the wonderful Bill McClain. Hi, Bill. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Good. I'm really excited because um, I really got to know who you were via social media and LinkedIn. And then I found out that you were at the IT Expo and on Bill Miller's expert panel on AI, and that really intrigued me because I'm super passionate about that. Anyways, I have a bunch of questions to ask you, but first I want to ask you, what do you do? And I guess what about the industry that you're in, your expertise that makes your heart sing about it?
Yeah, no, definitely. So what do I do? Well, I'm a husband, I'm a dad, and those are my two most important jobs. But to be a good husband and a good dad, you've got to make some coin, right? I have an MSP company, managed service provider, that I started 28 years ago. I also have a cloud voice company, Stratastyle, that I started about 12 years ago. And then just last year started a new venture upon AI, which is a um, AI voice business that will integrate tightly with our voice offerings. So that's sort of what I do. And as far as what I'm passionate about and what makes my heart sing, as you said, uh, helping people. I mean, listen, I do this for a living. Um, but my father told me once, he said, you need to love what you're doing or you're doing the wrong thing. So I love what I do. And the key to that is helping people. Now I get paid for that, but I still love it. And I like getting people out of a jam. I like preventing jams. I like to be the savior that comes running in and helps them out.
So, with that, I guess, what is the most or the best worthwhile investments you've ever made?
Well, when I got started, one of the reasons I started the company was I have three children. At the time when I started the company, my first company, I only had two. My previous jobs before becoming an entrepreneur I traveled a lot. And so making that leap um, to entrepreneurship was a little scary at the time, but not as bad as it would be for some people. You see, my wife was as a CPA. She was working for a Fortune 50 company. She was doing very well, so I had that safety net, which made it a lot easier. Even though I still had a partner, 50-50 partner when I started. And so my best financial move was after about 3 years to buy him out. And we parted ways, amicable. And he relocated, and I continued on with networking solutions, my MSP, for quite some time. So, yeah, making that jump from into entrepreneurship and then buying out my partner were the two biggest moves that I made.
With Thank you for that. Within that, like, was there a failure or like an apparent failure that set you up later for success? Or I guess, was it even before you jumped into entrepreneurship?
No. I definitely think that it was after jumping in. I mean, one of the challenges was having, and I know this works for some people, but having 50-50 partner. So there's no leader. You're both equal. And so setting direction and making decisions, even like how much are we going to pay ourselves, things like that. Um, it was a lot more difficult and challenging when I had a partner. So that led to, you know, like it or not, hey, look in the mirror in the morning and tell yourself make good decisions because you're the only one that's making them. So kind of a double-edged sword when you don't have somebody to bounce something off of, but at the same time, that turned out to be a good move.
I do appreciate when you say, I don't know if you said this verbatim, but like, I like to be a hero. I like to help someone breathe easier in the day. Like if I can help someone take the stress off of them, whether it's through work, through personal life, I do appreciate that because I think when you get into business, you're solving someone's problem, probably multiple problems, right? Because if one person has it, there's probably a lot more that people have it. Is there like a specific time in your profession that you changed someone's life that you did not expect?
Well, I don't know that I necessarily changed anyone's life per se. In some ways, I think maybe made life easier for some people. Um, One of the things that legacy technologists they talk nerd talk, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so by bringing it down to a level that you can converse about technology to your everyday person is a skill. And so by just doing that and also providing a level of empathy when someone is in a jam, it's not something that, when you think about a tech support guy, you envision somebody that comes in and says, "Hey, listen, I know you got to get this spreadsheet printed. I'm going to figure it out for you. We're going to get it done. I'm not just going to tell you to reboot your computer and walk away." So I think that that's one of my stronger skills.
Mm-hmm.
And my people are trained, to be empathetic to people that are in a tough jam because their stress level is already here. They don't need some IT guy coming in there telling them, why did you do that? I mean, that's
I
just the worst.
I appreciate that. Being in tech, whenever I have to troubleshoot and stuff, I'll first say I already turned it on and turned it back off. I already unplugged it. Like I've done some troubleshooting. I'm trying to like help them so that you don't have to ask me those initial questions and be like, trust me, like I want to make sure we can get this resolved. So I completely appreciate that. I also I know one time we had a conversation and you had mentioned that you were going to present something for an RFP or an RFI. I don't know what it was, but for this customer, right? You had a lot of people that were going to bat for work or for like basically a contract. And one thing, I mean, you can correct me, but the customer had said like you were like you weren't like overpriced or underpriced, right? You were in the middle of the road. But one thing she really appreciated and stood out to her was you came in, you took the time and you showed her how it works, what she can save, all of that. Like, could you elaborate on that? Just because, like, to me, I think that's huge when it comes to owning a business and just like, especially in the tech world. Like, I do appreciate when you had said to make words digestible for, a broad audience. I think that's super crucial in today's market.
Well, one of the things, as I was a little guy, my mom would say is, you only get one chance to make a first impression. And so when you have an opportunity, when you have a sales opportunity, we go after it. I mean, because it's hard enough to get in front of people to sell them your goods, services, and products. Don't squander it, right? Don't make it look like, it's a pain, that it's a time crunch or whatever. You got to go after it. And so, that's one of the things that we've done historically is when we get an opportunity, we go all out. I mean, and we'll prepare for it days in advance. We'll set up demo systems. They're actually live working demo systems. For example, we'll put the client's logo on all the phones. We'll put their extension number in front of them for the demo and, all in instead of just a PowerPoint presentation.
No, I appreciate that because I think with demos, someone needs to use it. Someone needs to understand how you're solving their problems, and I just like appreciate that. So I kind of want to ask you. I'm a bookworm, and I think like books can really motivate you. You can learn a lot from them. Are there any books in your life, three of them, that have influenced your life dramatically, or just like made you better?
Excuse me. So there's only one. I mean, yeah, certainly I've read, industry books on social media, how to get the best out of social media, things like that. Um, my son, my youngest, has autism. He's 15, and I read a book called. He's nonverbal also, so he can't really display his intellect easily. And I read a book by J.B. Handley called Underestimated. And what the book basically said is that people observed what they observed of these kids with autism, their idiosyncrasies, their funny noises, their flapping, their, gestures, things like that. And so it was very common to underestimate them. However, what really was the problem is that we weren't able to measure their intelligence based on historic methods. It's like asking them a question. Well, if they can't talk, they can't answer. If they have fine motor skills, they can't write the answer, right? So this book, Underestimated, is all about the journey of learning a new methodology called spelling, where you actually use templates and then laminate boards, and then you move to a QWERTY keyboard to type your answers. And so this book, I think about it every week when I think about, even though he's my son, and I know he's really smart, there's still times of underestimating. And so I think that puts it in perspective of how important it is to not always judge a book by its cover.
I appreciate that. I do want to say like that, and also you said social media. One thing I noticed was your presence on social media and your business, and I learned a lot about you. And I thought that was really cool because today social media is being underutilized, especially from a business perspective. And so, and education, right? Because I think for me, a lot of people, the internet, you can get a lot of things for free. And one thing for you, it's like you have so much knowledge. And I think seeing you on LinkedIn specifically, I was like, he knows how to leverage one social media algorithm, and he knows how to get in front of people to pitch what he's passionate about. And underestimated 100%. I think people, social media, just like like your side of the, I guess, business is being underutilized and underestimated. So I do appreciate that. Would you put anything, like if you had an opportunity to have a billboard in front of billions of people, impressions, what what message would you put on there to get out? Like would it be a paragraph? Would it be a few words? What would you put on your billboard?
Yeah. What would I put on my billboard? I think I would say something like, let's date before we get married. In other words, you don't know me and I don't know you. So why would I expect you to sign a multi-year contract with me to provide you voice services, or to provide you technology services, or to provide you AI services? Uh, I'm fine. Let's go to dinner. Let's get to know each other, because we need to know each other first. And then hopefully we will like each other. And if we like each other, then we're going to trust each other,
Yeah.
and then we're going to do business together. So I think that I would say, let's date before we get married.
I I saw something that's a little bit similar. It's like create a bond before we create a title, right? So I think that that's like
Exactly.
kind of the same kind of same but different, right? It's creating that connection and that trust, because I think you can agree trust is like the backbone of business. And so as soon as you can trust someone, it's like that the contract, yes, it's in writing, but it's also through behavior. So appreciate that. So what are you cooking behind the scenes right now that you can tell people?
Well, like I said, I have a partner in this business, and last year we started looking into more AI and how it could help us. So one of the things that as a cloud voice provider, you've got the really big companies, the Ring Centrals, 8x8s, Vonage, Nextiva, all these big ones. And then you have the small guys like me. And there's lots of little guys like me. So the big guys have lots of money for R&D. And so where are they spending it? AI, right? So the little guys who have their own platforms need to also have AI, because that's going to be a question when we go to compete against the big guys. What's your AI solution? And so we're in the process of developing a platform that will be uh, easily used on multiple platforms. So we've got it in demo mode now. We're probably going to launch it here in another 30 days, maybe 60 days. And what it's going to do is it's going to give the little guy like me the ability to compete with the big guys using things like smart receptionists that will be AI generated voice, smart chatbots, more advanced AI voice specific to an industry, things like that. Well, that'll allow you to call in and maybe set an appointment with somebody, or schedule a repair for your car, or a dentist appointment, or whatever. So we're working on all these different verticals, and not all at once, because you want to be very strategic, right? And so we're working on several right now, and so keep an eye out. We'll make sure we announce all of that on social media.
I'm excited for that. What with AI, because that's a huge learning curve, right?
Right.
Within your profession, your area of expertise, what has been the most memorable moment for you?
Oh, the whole time? Well, I think, I mentioned earlier that I had a safety net, right?
Mhm.
My wife was doing very well. When she was able to quit her job because dad had made it, he'd made enough, he's gone far enough with his businesses that she could retire. And so I think that was a big one. It took me a little longer than I thought, but
Mhm.
she has been retired for 17 years. So it took me about 10 and a half years to really get going, to the point where she could just hang it up and focus on our girls who were in middle school at the time, which we all know middle school girls need their moms because it's tough.
It is. So how do I want to frame this? So let's say you have a hungry college student or a professional that's kind of at a roadblock in their career, that are hungry to get into basically your type MSPs. What piece of advice would you give them, um, to basically to make a decision? What piece of advice would you give them?
Yeah, IT and telecommunications and AI are not going to be any different than any other industry, as far as, say, 55-year-old plus that's looking to make a change or whatever. It's really tough. And so that's where you're going to need to rely on your network, something like LinkedIn, right? That's going to help you spread your wings even further. As far as a youngster, I think the key is getting your foot in the door. You may not make as much money as you'd like to, but it doesn't take long. Back when our parents or my parents were working, it wasn't unusual to work for the same company your entire career. Now, if you've got 2 years in, that's considered tenured. So like you might look at somebody who's maybe in their 40s who was 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. And in the past, people would look at that like, oh, they're a job hopper. No, they're going like this, up, 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 and so the youngers, I would say, get your foot in the door. The older folks that are looking to get into the industry, you're gonna have to work harder. You're gonna have to network, because you don't want to start from the beginning, and you don't need to,
Mhm.
so you've got experience in other areas that will come into play in any business.
Well, thank you. Where can people find more about you?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm pretty heavy user on LinkedIn, and so that's probably the best place. You can find me there. You can find my profile. It's under Bill McClain, and certainly Strata Style website. But I think LinkedIn's the best place to find me. I'm there often, as you know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bill, for your time.